Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the John Hallett podcast. Joined with me, as always,
Josh, your leader of the whole gym, I think. I've taken it over, haven't I?
You've taken it over.
Don't hit me.
Don't hit me.
Don't hit me.
All right. Today, we're talking about kids' sports and alternatives to kids' sports. You know, parents are always out there looking for things and activities for kids in sports. Yeah. And if you guys don't know me, I'm John Hallett. I'm the owner of Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness here in Castle Rock, Colorado. I've been running the gym here in Castle Rock for 20 plus years and had a gym on lovely Nantucket Island for, I don't know how long.
Beautiful.
That I was there for, but you know, you're getting somebody with 30 plus years of kid coaching.
Yes.
I taught at my local or coached at my local boys club football. That was my first passion before I found traditional martial arts and got into that. I just love coaching kids. It is just so rewarding to see them grow up, and also super sad when they, you know, life gets super busy, you know, those late teen years before they're off to college. They've just got so many things to do. Wow. And you know, I mean, it's some great stuff. I know my wife is stressed about my stepson's community hours he's got to put in, which he's got 0. It's a stressful world out there. And I think there's a lot of stress put on kids with just too much activity.
I've seen it. I have seen kids really burned out from a lot of just travel, sport, school, travel, sports, school, and it almost doesn't seem to stop these days.
Yeah.
That's what I'm observing.
Yeah. I mean, modern youth sports didn't just get more competitive. They became year round and an identity, you know, defining thing for these kids. It's expensive to the point where kids don't get to be kids anymore. They're not going outside and playing and doing that stuff. It is just schedule. Just
All
like
the time.
Oh my gosh, you're older scheduling your kid. Like they need some time to decompress. And I've seen like these little kids, I mean, and it's camp after camp and the pressure, you know, the peer pressure, you know, that, you know, your kid's not going to be on the team. Oh, it's crazy.
Like, and I see the parents getting burned out from it too, because they're, you know, these kids are doing all these things and they're like, man, all the travel. And I'm like, you know, there are other sports alternatives out there that exist. And baseball doesn't define your kid. Football doesn't define your kid. It's a thing they do. And I want them to enjoy it when they're kids. You know? Not it to be a full-time job for them.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always tried to do is go, hey, you know, our membership is based on the average kid coming in here 2 times a week. Could you come in 3 or 4? Sure, but it's not a requirement. You don't want it to become such a burden on the family that it's just every day. It gets to be a lot for these parents. And if you've got multiple kids, then, you know, you're just driving kids around all over the place. You know, one thing, when I was growing up, I was just talking to Justin, who, you know, shout out to Justin Bird, Big Dog Graphics here in Castle Rock.
Great group.
He's a great guy. Just tinted my windows for me. He does all my stuff. He's been a long time member.
Cha-ching.
We were talking about, you know, kids, it used to be seasonal. You used to play multiple sports. He's like, you know, one thing, he's like, you know, I went to Douglas County High School here, you know, go in and, you know, tell my kids, you know, like, oh yeah, like that guy, look, he lettered in 3 or 4 sports. That's like, oh, that's a great point, Justin. What happened to the 4-letter varsity athlete?
Yeah.
They're gone. They are gone.
That's wild. And I can't believe that the push is in multiple sports, because it's baseball, then it's football, then I think they go into basketball right around the same time. Then it's back into baseball. And this baseball starts from June and runs to August, and it's every single day.
Well, yes. Well, you're saying some of these kids play multiple sports, and they would have that little break in between off seasons, or just a mental break of that sport. not that that's always the best. And then it's just, hey, you're in transition or you're doing some other type of cross training. That's where I told
got a little rest.
Coach Thomas, my one of my football coaches on Nantucket, when he became a head coach in Connecticut, I was talking to him and I was like, man, you used to give me a hard time about not playing basketball, which is his, was his
Sure.
next sport. And that just was not my sport. He's like, you should do it, cross training. It'll be good for you. And I was like, hey, coach, I found something that you never told me about. Check out martial arts. Get some of your guys that aren't interested in playing, basketball or doing whatever. And he a couple kids took him up on it, and they were doing traditional martial arts at the time. And the next season, he's like, man, I can see the difference in these offensive linemen and their hands, their feet,
the way they move.
Yeah, from just cross training in a martial art. It's cross training.
Sure
it's
does.
Good stuff.
Meeting energy, dealing with people, like using your hands, figuring out what to do. It's new neural pathways. It's all good stuff. We love
it. I think it's just too overwhelming.
Yeah.
These days, I just look at going, oh my gosh, it is just nonstop with some of these things. I mean, my stepson right now is in Denver on a Friday because his club team has a 3-day tournament, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Whoa.
And I'm like, hey, did you guys not see that it's NFL playoffs here?
Yeah.
And not to mention now the Broncos are playing. And I'm sorry, people, I grew up in New England. They're playing the Patriots. It's a tough game for me.
I don't root for the Broncos.
You don't root for the Broncos?
I like them. Don't get me wrong. I just don't root for the Broncos. I don't care.
Don't hold that against us, okay, Denver? Okay. Don't hold.
I'm a Bengals fan. I am used to perpetual losing. Okay,
just perpetual losing. So parents, it's tough. The mental cost, the burnout. They're just tied to one thing. They're not like figuring themselves out. Parents sometimes try to make, you can lead them and direct them and help them, but they've got to kind of figure out their identity, and if they're just tied to one sport, that just becomes like, I'm a football player.
Sure. I asked a parent who I'm close to, I won't say who they are, that are you kids getting burned out for this? And they're like, no. Then I asked them, I say, could you handle going to baseball and then going to school and then coming home and doing chores, getting everything done, going to bed, getting up at the crack of dawn and being the one to put in the performance? And I forgot about the homework piece. And they're like, well, no, that's a lot. And it's like, well, you're expecting it of your kid. So maybe you need to start weighing whether the cost is worth the burnout, because you can see it in the kids. They lose energy, they lose interest in stuff sometimes. And it's just hard on them. They're already learning burnout.
Yeah.
Early.
I mean, I was listening to Peter Attia podcast with a roundtable discussion, and one of the guys there, I think he was at BU, strength and conditioning. I think he was with the Bruins or somebody like that as well, and talking about just the overuse injuries. You're doing the same movement patterns year round.
Mm-hmm.
There's no long-term athletic development there because they're just doing one thing. But gosh, my number one thing is these overuse injuries that we're seeing in kids in high school, that we would see much later on in people's athletic career because they're getting professional injuries in high school because they've been doing it since elementary school. And what are the long-term costs of that?
Someone told me their teenager had to get Tommy John surgery. And I was like, isn't that something that baseball players get from long-term use? And well, yeah, he plays baseball. I'm like, wait a minute. He's a teenager.
Yeah. I mean, and just the cost on the family is there's so much travel. I've told at hotels, the either a private coach or now they're doing just another thing. They've got, hey, Martine, we're doing this club one and another club one and another camp and do this. And it's just year-round fees. And my kid's going to go and get a D1 scholarship. And awesome if they do. But sometimes I tell people, well, do the math. I know some guy. I'm like, dude, you just paid for college. And his kid said he was done. He didn't want to do it anymore.
Wow.
And now but wait a second, we've been banking on you getting a scholarship. And the kid's just so burnt out.
What do you
they
do?
don't want to do it.
Oh my gosh.
So it, doing Krav Maga, is also economically way better. We don't do the competitions. And, some parents, I was thinking about it the other day. We keep it pretty low key. Some parents they want a big production over, belt testing. I try to keep it really low key where it's in class. We make them feel good. You earn this belt, but we're not doing I know some martial arts schools, gosh, that their kids' black belt test thing was up in Breckenridge or somewhere. The cost was seriously $10,000. Crazy. You're like, whoa.
I don't know. Say, wow.
Yeah. I try to keep it really low key, not a big burden on the families. Yeah, some of that stuff is nice, but I'm also not the person we got to celebrate every little thing. You just got to yell about. That's awesome. But it's also, as I feel yay, kindergarten graduation. And, this whole thing of our senior trip. I'm you haven't done anything. You haven't earned anything. You just graduated from high school. Awesome. Let's go out and prove yourself. You need a trip. That's another thing, parent. I'm feel good. I'm yeah. Did you work for it? You want your parents to pay for it. It's another one I think our generation has made a mistake on, but that is a John Hallett sidetrack.
It is.
What kids actually need, variety, challenge without pressure, confidence tied to winning, right? Time to be kids. That's the number one thing we're seeing in our kids program is they gain confidence. They got that belt, they're learning to escape a choke on the ground or whatever. Just that confidence of what it does for, our boys and girls of knowing that they can get through these things. Those are,
right. And once they get through it, they get hungrier for more because they're succeeding too. That's the other piece is that they succeed, right? They get the confidence, they can win. They also learn how to lose with grace because if you're in martial arts, you win and you lose.
Yeah. And, a lot of, things with our youth and our teen Krav Maga program that's different from competitive sports, which again, I love that stuff. We're just different. We're just an alternative here in Castle Rock. There's no season, there's no burnout. They can come and join whenever they want. There's no scoreboard. And we're also going, you're not competing against somebody else. You're just earning your yellow belt. It's about you. It's about your identity. It's not this, I didn't make the team and it's just crushing them because that's become their identity from flag football or t-ball all the way up. And now they don't make the travel team or they're on C team. It's just an alternative for these kids. We're doing full body stuff, better long-term athleticism. What we're doing. It's just so great. Well, I'm always going, Krav Maga is well-rounded. We want to be a well-rounded martial artist, self-defense practitioner, but you also need, to be strong. Bully attacks you guys. We want to be strong. We want to be strong for life as you get older.
Sure.
They're learning stress inoculation, and emotional resilience in our program. Self-defense is real confidence, not trophies, not just I got another trophy because I went to this martial arts tournament.
Generation.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It is tough out there. And teaching false confidence is not something that I have ever done in any of my programs. It's, you've got to earn it. And kids love it. I'm you can get a belt. We've had kids going, hey, my friend started XY martial art and they're this belt. How does that relate to my belt, Coach John? I'm well, some things are belt factories. We're here to earn it. Would you like me to give you a blue belt? Would you like a black belt?
Yeah,
Is it going to make you a black belt?
Well, no, that's usually what they end up saying, right?
So it is it's a tough world out there, and that we're educating them on everything. It's back to the legal consequences that we teach in our kids program. We were talking about it in a recent podcast. about that and about kids. And actually one of the teenagers, I said, you're going to have to get a lawyer. And they're like,
what?
And, the cost of a lawyer. And they're like,
wait a minute.
I did get one. And I said, well,
I saw the
have you seen some movies? I'm like, what is that line? And if you cannot afford one, the kid's like, one will be appointed to you. And like, oh, like you don't want it to get that far, right?
No.
There's legal consequences of all this stuff, but I'm constantly trying to mix in life lessons into our Krav Maga program. It was actually one woman that was going through some hard times, going through a divorce and trying to figure it out. She's like, I could just see you were such a great role model for the kids, in that one class that I watched, and I really wanted to get them to do it. And that, that just tears at my heartstrings and going like, let's try to get you in here and like work with it. You want me to talk to the dad, whatever it may be, like the benefits of getting his kid into this program, which unfortunately, sometimes we see parents kind of now argue about it and like, oh, mom or dad wants them to do this program. No, I mean, come on, people, grow up.
Right.
It's about the kids. Like, again,
like
divorce is tough, but
let the
kids are number one. It's so hard. That's such a hard thing. We're teaching that mental and emotional skills in our program.
Yeah.
Sure
do.
We're teaching them confrontation, boundaries, self-control under stress. That's what Krav Maga does. We're handling fear. We're staying calm under pressure, dealing with conflict. We constantly say it. I said it to my teens the other day. I know you guys don't like the principles of the martial arts, modesty, courtesy, integrity, and stop there. Integrity. Do you guys want to work with somebody that doesn't have integrity? Mm-hmm. These are life things, guys. I'm saying martial arts, but do you want to deal with somebody that doesn't have integrity, selling you insurance or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
Right? We deal with conflict. That is a lifelong thing. Parents try to shelter their kids from that. I'm constantly saying your mom isn't here. You've got to deal with it. You've got to self-advocate to your teacher. And here's how to, deal with that. Let's try ourselves. And bring in the big guns if your teacher's not listening to you. But, speak up for yourself. Standing up for yourself without becoming aggressive is just a huge, huge thing. My wife just actually said she got some message like, I'll try not to be mean. She's like, oh my gosh, like, will this guy just call me? I want to know what he wants to talk about, because she's HR and a project manager. Like, oh God, I'll try not to be mean.
Well, I mean,
okay, we'll try. Well, you try not to. That's a lifelong skill. That's the stuff we're working on here. All right. I think you got anything?
Well, I was going to say, we also we can help support these kids when they come in. We are a support team for them, meaning that other kids will help kids get better inside of our system. We learn how to work as a team. That team and support is really there on the floor, and that's really important for parents who say, well, is it really a team sport? And self-defense, working with other people, is very team-oriented. You guys have to do stuff together, and it's really valuable to watch and see. So don't forget that. Like, we really support these kids, and we want them to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Here at Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness in Castle Rock, we see kids who are exhausted, not lazy. They're burnt out because they're overscheduled.
Yes.
Now they become unmotivated because you just got so much going on. We've got to let them be kids. We've got to let them, there's those memes out there, 1970s kids and building jumps. I'm like, I was totally doing that at 72.
Building tree houses.
It's my flashback. Like, hey, 72 Spring Street. We were building ramps right out in the street. We were being kids.
Didn't have a helmet.
Yeah, people would yell at us like, "Get out of the street, kid!" And it was super country road. Google 72 Spring Street in Rentham, Massachusetts. Look, the goal isn't to raise professional athletes. The goal is to raise confident, capable, resilient adults. Childhood shouldn't feel like a full-time job, right? That's what I feel so strongly about. That's why I have a kids program here, because, it's not easy dealing with kids. I have a lot of adults like, I don't know how you do that. Yeah, it's not an easy program, but it's so rewarding. So check out RMSDF.com. You can book a class right from there. Get your kid in. try a couple classes, no pressure. You know, if you don't like it, it's no big deal. Just text us back and say, hey, we didn't really like it. But you know, the first class is the hardest one. Come back and take another one. It's like kindergarten. You brought your kid back for kindergarten. Yeah. I constantly try to get kids out there like, yeah, everything's new. Don't worry about it. I just told the teenager, look, man, I was a 2nd degree black belt in Taekwondo, and everything in Krav Maga was different. The terminology, the words, you had to remember names and what went with everything. Don't worry about it. We're here to help you. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the John Hallett podcast. If you got any ideas, shoot us a message. And I don't really look at YouTube and comments. I hate it. But, you know, the best way to get in touch with us is through our website. So check it out, rmsdf.com. If you need online training, check out ClearSky.training, and our supplements that don't suck, SuckLess.co. Check it out. If you need your protein, guys, you need your creatine. The science behind both of those, it's just no nonsense BS supplements, unlike so much other crap out there. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We are out of here. Have a good weekend, or I don't know when you're listening to it. I don't know.